Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now and Trinidad Times Television. With me for segment 2, Jackson Pixley. Jackson, as we went through the questions, now we're going to go through the second segment, which is economic development. Jackson, what are the most pressing issues facing Trinidad?
Well, I tell you, there's quite a few pretty pressing issues facing Trinidad right now. Is this along the lines of just simply economics?
Yeah, this is on economic development. So it's the economy, which is what we put, city council in place for, is to manage the business of the city.
Okay.
So
here's what I think. We are right now seeing an unprecedented amount of tax revenue coming in because of the cannabis industry. Okay. We're talking a lot of extra money that will really help us catch up on a lot of old budget issues. But here's the thing. That money is finite. It's not going to last forever. Okay. Whether you agree with marijuana legalization or not, it's here and it's going to spread. Okay. Now, as I mentioned earlier, about 70% of our business in this town in the cannabis industry is from out of state. It's all tourist dollars. Now, what happens if Texas and New Mexico go legal? You think those people are still going to drive here? They're not, right? So what we need to be doing is really taking this money and planning ahead for the future, okay? Mm-hmm. We need to use this tax revenue to give certain other industries possibly some sort of tax breaks to lure them here. I mean, this town's got a lot going for them as far as luring other industries in town. We're right on the highway. Okay, we're right on the railroad tracks. The weather here is perfect. Sunshine 300 plus days a year. I mean, this place really has a lot of things going for it. It's my understanding that our past city councils have let certain industries that wanted to come here go, such as the Budweiser plant that's now up in Pueblo, the Walmart distribution center. These are all wonderful things that we could really use in our community, and just more good-paying jobs. And who doesn't want that for their community? So again, we have to take this money and really start planning for the future, or this town is just going to repeat its whole boom-bust cycle that it's went through several times, be it coal or natural gas. So if all these dispensaries go away, what goes with it? Jobs, people, the economy, again. So by planning for the future and working on getting our, let's say, our tourism industry, I think is something that we really need to focus on. Building more trails.
And we're gonna get to that.
Okay, so we'll circle back
right,
around to
yes.
that. But again, luring more industries into town is a huge thing, and I think that we're in a unique position with this cannabis tax revenue to do just that.
Okay. If you could do a Back to the Future like Michael Fox, and you were flash forward 4 years from now, and you're standing in Trinidad, what's going on in Trinidad? What's your vision for it for 4 years from now? If you were elected and you had finished out your term.
4 years from now, I would like to see at least one other large-scale industry, like a distribution center, as I mentioned, in this town. Okay. I'd like to see every building along Main and Commercial, the front. I'd like to see those revamped and in use for one reason or another. Right. I think we have a really good thing going with the Space to Create coming to town. I mean, that's just absolutely huge. That's going to draw more artists and in the long run, more tourists to town. Okay. Again, I think the whole outdoor industry could really take off in this town, whether that's a business that comes in and rents out pontoons and jet skis and kayaks for the lakes, or we have more biking trails and hiking trails built around here. All of those things would be great. But on top of that, what I'd also like to see is, instead of fighting this cannabis industry every step of the way, which some people have been doing, let's embrace it, right? Let's bring festivals in that are, similar to the Trinidadeo, except more centered around the cannabis culture, right? Denver draws 500,000 people a year for their 420 celebration on April 20th. It's a big thing. But Denver doesn't want them there anymore. Pueblo doesn't want them. Colorado Springs doesn't want them. I want them. Okay? This town, get 500,000 people here for a week. That's great. This whole town would prosper from that. Every single business in town would prosper from that. And so instead of fighting all of these things, I think we really ought to embrace it for the short amount of time that it's here.
Okay. Jackson, how familiar are you with the city budget? And what are the city's main sources of revenue and expenditures? And as I said before, you're not an incumbent, so it's understandable. But some people have studied it.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the budget. I am pretty familiar with what they just budgeted all of the last year's tax revenue for. I know they did $400,000 for the Monument Lake bathhouses. They've given out some money to the golf course and for cameras downtown, etc. But honestly, other than the big amount of tax revenue, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know what I'm talking about. This is something that I plan on learning if I earn the seat on City Council.
As I said before, it's first time for everything.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, and I want to read this next question to you, as I've done for everybody else, so I don't trip over it. But industry recruitment is very difficult for rural communities, especially ones where healthcare, education, and workforce development systems are below par. What other businesses would you like to try to attract to Trinidad?
Again, as I mentioned earlier, something along the tourism industry lines. I mean, again, there's so much potential here, right? We've got Cougar Canyon sitting out there. Everybody's familiar with Cougar Canyon. I've let myself on a little tour of Cougar Canyon out there. That place is almost done. That would, the big hotel and everything, I mean, that place would be absolutely incredible. Everything from an equestrian center, which, we live in the Southwest, so having something like that around would be great. Another golf course would be fantastic. I mean, that thing's going to be a PGA-style golf course. I mean, that's incredible.
I went on a tour with my wife, and I golfed a little bit when I was much younger, but it was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. And it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I realize it'd take a lot of red tape to cut through there.
Right.
And some pretty big investors, but I think that investors and the city of Trinidad is ready to take that sort of leap of faith and try to revamp that system. And again, it's another type of industry I'd really like to see Trinidad and Los Animas County embrace is industrial hemp. Not to be mistaken with marijuana, okay?
Right.
I want to be very clear. Industrial hemp is not marijuana, and it should not be looked at it as the same. And I know a lot of people do, and they just think, oh, this guy's talking about weed again. It's not weed, okay? Industrial hemp is easy to grow. It's cheap to grow. I mean, you can make everything from textiles to paper with this.
Have you ever seen the YouTube video, Hemp for Victory?
Yes.
Because they outlined 12 minutes and they had to go back, and that's where they made ropes from. And then during World War II, they're like, oh, we don't have any. We need rope.
Yeah.
And they had to encourage the farmers to grow it. So people watching, go to YouTube and watch Hemp for Victory. They outlawed it and then realized, oh my gosh, we need it. Because they needed ropes for the ships.
Yep. And our climate down here is absolutely perfect for hemp. I mean, absolutely perfect. And Los Animas County has been an agricultural county before, and it can easily again. Okay, industrial hemp is not nearly as hard on your soil as say corn, soybeans, any of those types of things that I grew up around in Iowa. It's just so easily sustainable, and this country is moving in that direction. From again, everything from textiles to the medicinal values of the cannabis and hemp plants.
Again, Andy, my 2 cents here. I know from being at these meetings too that hemp cleans the soil, toxic soil.
Yes.
So, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, there's just so many ways that we could go.
Right.
And we don't have to just go one way, right? We can put a few eggs in this basket, a few eggs in this basket, some over here, and really kind of diversify our town. That way, if we do have, again, any sort of recession, that's, it's inevitable in the ebb and flow of American economics. We do have some sort of recession. We've got many different things holding us up as opposed to just this one big nest egg.
Right. And you just touched on this a little bit, but let's ask this. The growth in the tourism economy has been outstanding over the last 2 years. Do you support this new tourism economy, and what will you do to continue to promote the tourism industry? I know you've addressed it, but as I said, we're going to ask the same question just slightly differently.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, 100%. This town is wonderful, okay? And it already has that kind of groundwork laid, okay? We've got the surrounding areas. We've got mountains over here. We've got lakes. We've got, on a whole other part of the tourism side, we've got, gorgeous architecture. This is a very art-centric town as well. And I would just like to see more things like what we already have. Like the Trinidad Blues Festival is just fabulous. Okay, I heard about that years before I ever moved down here.
It actually started right a block from here for 2 years, and my wife. That's when my wife and I first started dating. So we've never missed.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm a big pro. Actually, my wife's on the board too.
Yeah. So why not? Similar to Telluride, they've got a blues festival. They also have a bluegrass festival.
Right.
They've also got 3 or 4 art festivals. I mean, why stop at just one? I mean, wouldn't that be great to have something to do every single weekend, all summer long in this town?
Right.
I really think it would. I go out to the lake all the time. There's never anybody out there.
Right.
Why do I see no jet skis or kayaks or paddle boards or a fishing tournament annually or anything like that?
Right.
Well, we've got everything that we need. We just need people and ideas to move forward with.
Right. The city created an economic development department 2 years ago. What ideas would you have for economic development if elected? And we've touched on some of this, but just reiterate.
Yep. So as far as economic development, again, and I know Jonathan Taylor, the head of economic development, he's been doing a great job, right? He's very forward-thinking. He's got a lot of great ideas. Unfortunately, some of his ideas don't make it past city council, and for one reason or another. And I think city council needs to be a little more open to, again, different ideas, new ideas. Jonathan's a younger man, right? And I think kind of the old guard in this town tends to kind of hold back some of these new, more progressive ideas. And I really think that we need to embrace, or at least, even if we don't go with these ideas, we need to at least dive a little deeper into them and see, what kind of return on investment all of these projects can get us. Because make no mistake, whatever we spend all of this money on towards economic development needs a return on investment. Just build something and that's going to last for 5 years and then you'll have to replace.
Right. Okay, so last year, the city economic development focus was on stabilizing our downtown to create an attractive atmosphere for commercial businesses. They have rental assistance, facade redevelopment grants, Main Street patios, the entertainment district that we use for the Blues Fest. What are your thoughts on all those?
I think they're great. The patios are awesome. I mean, you already see them being used all the time. People are loving them. I really don't understand what the fuss was about them. It doesn't make any sense.
There's fuss.
I understand. There's fuss. I mean, I hear things like, "Oh, drunk drivers are going to smash into them and kill people." Well, that again, that's a fear-based reaction. Okay, if I was so worried about drunk drivers, I'd never leave my house. Okay, what good would that do? I mean, that's like saying, "Oh, we can't go hunting. Somebody's going to get shot." Well, maybe, but we're not going to stop.
Right.
Just because of the what if, right? Enough of the what ifs.
Right.
Let's look on the positive sides of things. Let's look at the benefits of these, not the possible disasters that could maybe happen 10 years down the road. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So yeah, those things have been great. Just walking downtown is, again, when I moved to town, I'd walk down Main Street, it looked like a ghost town.
Right.
Every other business was boarded up and shut. And now, you know, it's on its way to looking like a thriving, really cool, hip downtown, like it should be.
Well, you and I are a small handful of people that live downtown, and I mean, I love it. So, and you know, there was one time my wife said, "Go to the store." I went to the store and back, and she said, "You're gone 9 minutes." You know, that's
Yep.
you know, that's what I like about a small town. I love living downtown too. So, Jackson, vacancy downtown has decreased from 2015. It was 61% to 2017. It's now 29%. What would you attribute that to?
The cannabis industry.
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
That and the economic development plan.
And let me throw a shout out here because it's been one of our lifesavers, and that's Jay Shimino and the investments he has down here. I think 16, 17 buildings, and Dana Crawford, you know, with their investments and now Space to Create. So having lived down here since the early 80s, this is the most excited I've ever been because it's really cool. And a lot of people that are against the cannabis industry, and again, this is my 2 cents, need to realize when things are, you know, they start coming down, the buildings that money, the electrical and the plumbing and things like that to stabilize those buildings is done. It's invested. And I have a historic building, it's 131 years old. I know how much it costs. It ain't cheap. So we have that going for us. This isn't about me though, sorry.
Yeah,
Occasionally
no.
I can't not interject.
No, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I mean, I think you have to give a huge amount of credit to the cannabis industry and all of the people that it draws to this town.
Right.
I mean, what else is there? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that our locals are out spending any more money than they were 2 years ago.
No.
And that's a 32% decrease in the amount of buildings. I mean, again, it's staggering. It's a staggering number to happen in 2 years.
Right.
And I think our locals, like Jake Chimino, right? I mean, I think they're just doing such a great thing. And I believe it's because they see the same thing that I do. They see the enormous potential that this town has to really taking that next step to long-term prosperity.
Right. Well, Jay's passion for this community is clear. His father used to own this funeral home in the 50s, and God bless him for all that he's done. He's done for my family too, and Paula. But we've touched on this, but let me just ask this because it's in the order of things. But where should the marijuana money be spent?
Again, the marijuana needs to be spent looking forward and securing the future of this town. Okay, I'd really love to see more money going to the school. Okay, because we need, for the future, we need an educated workforce.
Right.
Okay, and right now our school is grossly underfunded. It literally ranks towards the bottoms of all schools in the state of Colorado. And we cannot fix the future unless we take care of our kids. Right, that's huge. And this last bit of money, none of it went to the schools that they allocated. And that, to me, is a huge mistake. Okay. We also need to worry about public safety. Our police department is, again, another department that is grossly underfunded. They need computers in their cars. They need more things than cameras on Main Street. Okay, we need to pay these officers more. Right now, there's such a huge turnover rate with our officers because they come here, they get trained, and then they follow the money somewhere else. Right? You know, honestly, if you look at, you know, I used to train a lot of employees. There's a pretty high turnover rate in the cannabis industry, and it costs more money to train an employee than to keep one, even at a substantial wage increase. So let's stop spending our time and money and resources training all these new officers, and let's keep some of these officers, right?
Right.
So public safety is one. Again, education is a huge thing. We need some of this money to go towards figuring out a solution to our homeless problem as well. Clearly, that's a huge issue here in town. And again, I think we need to start thinking outside the box for something like that. And then again, with these tax dollars, probably the biggest thing, the biggest priority for me is to use this to draw other industries to town, and not just one distribution center or one of this. I mean, let's try to make this town well-rounded and have several different revenue incomes and job opportunities moving forward.
Okay. Next question. Water losses are 40% from the water treatment plant to delivery. What plans are in place to repair, and how can we not fall behind again?
This is a question I'm not going to have a whole lot of knowledge about. I know exactly 2 weeks ago today, they put together a plan of attack, basically a timeline of what parts of the water delivery system need work the most. I think this is a huge issue. If you don't know it, for those people that don't know it, like water's the new gold. Okay, and we live in the desert, so we need to take care of this because eventually Denver's going to be coming for our water, and we can't let them have it if we're letting the ground and waste take 40% of what we already have.
Right.
So this is a huge issue, and it's going to be expensive, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's definitely something that they need to stay on track with and not push it to the side any longer.
Okay. And what are your solutions for Monument Lake?
I guess I don't really know a whole lot about the problems at Monument Lake. I know we just gave $400,000 to a new bathhouse out there. But I ride my bike up to Monument Lake all the time. Seems great. There's always people out there.
Right.
What are some of the problems that are?
Well, for the people that have been on council, this is one of the questions that, as I explained, you may not have all the answers because you haven't been there, but I'm just trying to be fair. There are a number of issues, and the bathhouse is a big one. And the longtime residents are like, they don't go up there because of that. So it's not a gotcha question. It's just like, I'm just trying to be fair.
Yeah.
So, and not having all the answers, that's okay.
But if the bathhouse is one, I guess they just solved that problem.
I hope so.
So that's one part down. Right?
It's a big one. Last question to this segment, and we might make it with the tape that we have. But many meetings through the years have occurred between city and council and county. They haven't necessarily had a lot of success with those meetings. Do you foresee working with the county together to prosper the community?
I think it's an absolute must. Honestly, I don't think the city can be here and the county can be here because again, we're all one community. And I know a lot of it was the cannabis industry, right? But from my understanding, we do have some new people working for the county that are a little more open to ideas and working with the city. But again, I think we both need to work together because if we're not both prospering, it's not long-term viable, right? Okay. And I know the county asks for money from us from this cannabis revenue. Honestly, I'm against that at the time being. I mean, you can't say no, we don't want it, but yeah, we want your money.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me. So I think the county, whether they want dispensaries or not, I mean, I think they need to start thinking about, grow operations or again, industrialized hemp, that sort of thing. And really, again, embracing what's going on in this state, in this country, rather than running scared from it.
Okay. Jackson, I'm just about to tape, and we're at the end of this segment, so this is good timing. So I'm going to rush out of it a little bit. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on Trinidad Times Television. We'll be right back.